You might think of Dante's Divine Comedy as just this epic tour of the afterlife, right? Well, it's so much more than that. It's really a deep dive into the single most powerful force in the universe, love. And in this explainer, we're going to explore how, for Dante, that one force, love, can be the key to either eternal damnation or divine salvation.
So let's just start with a question that kind of shatters our whole image of hell. Forget all the fire and brimstone. Dante puts a frozen, desolate wasteland at the absolute center of evil. Now, why would he do that? Well, because for him, the ultimate sin isn't some crime of passion. No, it's the complete, chilling, total absence of love's warmth. You see, at its heart, the entire poem is a symbolic map. It's an allegory, really, for the soul's journey. It traces this path from being completely lost in sin through this intense process of cleansing, and then, finally, arriving at divine truth and salvation.
And the engine that's driving this entire journey, the one thing that determines whether a soul is damned or saved, is love. But here's the paradox that powers the whole poem. Love is both the source of damnation when it's corrupted, and it's the key to salvation when it's perfected. It's the one variable that shapes everything. So this journey unfolds across three really distinct realms. First, you've got the Inferno, hell, where love is corrupted and the mood is just complete hopelessness. Then you move to Purgatorio, purgatory, where love is being actively corrected, which gives rise to this incredible feeling of hope. And finally, you reach Paradiso, heaven, where love is perfected and everything is just pure joy. So let's begin our descent.
All right, our first stop, the Inferno. And you have to understand, this isn't just some cosmic prison. It's a realm that is literally defined by the distortion of divine love. Every single punishment here is like a dark mirror, reflecting a soul that has turned its back on that love.
And the key to understanding hell is this principle that Dante called contrapasso. Think of it as poetic justice, but on a whole other level. The punishments aren't random at all. They are the sin itself, just made eternal. Let me show you a classic example. So in the second circle of hell, Dante finds the lustful. Now, their sin wasn't that they loved, that's not the problem. The problem was that they allowed their love to become this chaotic, disordered force that just completely overrode their reason. It was passion with no purpose, a love that had totally lost its way.
And their punishment? It is a perfect, almost beautiful illustration of contrapasso. Because they were swept away by their passions in life, they are now eternally swept around by this violent, chaotic wind. They're in constant motion, but they have zero direction and absolutely no hope of ever finding rest. It's a tragic, perfect mirror of their sin.
This really lays out the two extremes of corrupted love and hell perfectly. On one hand, you have the disordered heat of lust. It's a sin of passion, of chaotic motion, and you find it in the upper, warmer circles. But as you descend deeper and deeper, it gets colder. And on the other hand, you find the absolute cold of treachery in the ninth circle, a calculated sin of frozen, horrific stillness.
And this brings us right back to that question from the beginning. For Dante, the ultimate evil isn't a fiery rage, it's a frozen heart. Treachery is the worst sin because it's a cold, willful, calculated act that destroys the bonds of trust and love. It's the absolute negation of God, a soul that has become completely, spiritually inert. Okay, so after all that doom and gloom and the finality of hell, Dante emerges into a realm of incredible hope, purgatory. This is the place where love isn't just absent or corrupted. Here, it's being actively reordered, re-aimed, and purified. This right here is the crucial insight that defines the entire realm of purgatory, and it comes from Dante's guide, Virgil. And this idea was truly revolutionary. It reframes morality not as just a list of don'ts, but as the proper aiming of your heart's love. Every single sin, Virgil explains, is just love that's been pointed at the wrong thing. So, as you see here, souls climb the 7 terraces of Mount Purgatory, and each level is dedicated to purging one of the 7 deadly sins. But here's the big difference from hell. The souls here willingly embrace their penance. The proud, for example, have to carry these massive stones on their backs to humble their corrupted love of self. They see their suffering as the path to healing, as a way to actively reorient their love back towards God. And with each terrace they conquer, an angel erases a P for peccatum, or sin, from their forehead. But just as Dante reaches the very top of the mountain, totally cleansed of sin, something pivotal has to happen. The journey has reached a point where his guide, who represents the absolute limit of human intellect, well, he just can't take him any further. And here we see the two guides.
On the left, there's Virgil. He symbolizes human reason, and he's done an incredible job. He can understand sin, he can reject it, and he's led Dante to the peak of earthly morality. But to enter heaven, reason is not enough. Dante needs divine grace, and that is symbolized by Beatrice, on the right. She now has to take over to guide him into the very presence of God.
This divine handoff leads us into our final realm, Paradiso. And here, love is no longer a force that needs to be corrected. It is the very fabric of reality. It's the operating system of the entire cosmos. So, guided by Beatrice, Dante's soul begins to ascend through the 9 celestial spheres of heaven. And this isn't just some physical trip through space, it's an intellectual and spiritual quest, with the soul being pulled upward by its natural, innate desire to unite with its creator.
The climax of the entire 1,000-page epic happens right here, in the Empyrean. It's a realm beyond time, beyond space, a place of pure, divine light and love. And here, the soul finally achieves its ultimate desire, a direct, though totally indescribable, vision of God.
And in this state of perfect unity, Dante's individual will doesn't just disappear. Instead, it finds its ultimate peace, its ultimate fulfillment, by becoming perfectly harmonized with the universal divine will. It's the ultimate homecoming for the soul.
And the entire poem ends with this stunning, iconic line. It just perfectly encapsulates the journey's great discovery, that the very same love that guided Dante's soul out of that dark wood is the cosmic, divine love that organizes and animates the entire universe.
So, after this incredible journey, all the way from the frozen heart of hell to the brilliant light of heaven, let's bring it all together. Why does this 700-year-old vision of love still matter so much to us today?
The big takeaway is this clear, transformative arc. Dante shows us how love, our most powerful emotion, can start as a destructive, misdirected force. But through conscious effort and maybe a little grace, it can be reordered and purified. And ultimately, it can be realized as the highest, most creative power in all of existence. And that leaves us with one final thought. Dante gives us a map for the soul, a journey about aiming our love toward an ultimate good. And it's a really powerful framework for looking at our own lives. So the question for us becomes, what is our love, our driving force? What is it aimed at?